Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to BMC Exchange Partner Session. My name is Margaret Lee. Today, I have joining with me Chad McAfee from Oracle. And he and I are going to be talking about Oracle and BMC's partnership and how that can be benefiting to our customers. Welcome, Chad.
Thanks, Margaret. Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. So I know our partnership has been going for some time. Just to set the context, BMC Helix is growing very rapidly, and we have hundreds of customers in production and many, many more onboarding. About a year ago, earlier this year, we realized that we needed a partnership to help us scale and to help us do global reach. And most importantly, to make sure the infrastructure layer for Helix is sound, is performant, and provides the highest availability and reliability to our customers. So this is where we reached out and started partnership discussions. Maybe to get us started, you can tell us how customers' experience is like for Oracle, for customers on Oracle Cloud.
Yeah, absolutely, Margaret. Before I do that, thank you for the partnership. It's been a great experience, and I think this is what our probably third time doing something similar. And each time, it's great to see the progress that we're making. And I know our teams work daily. When it comes to customer experience for Oracle Cloud, I think it starts with technology. But ultimately, it's a lot more than that. It's about customers and partners like yourself realizing the value out of cloud through the economics, through the flexibility, and ultimately performance. When I think about the journey that we've been doing together and your journey, I mean, our job, the Oracle Cloud's job, is to provide that world-class global infrastructure and make sure you're meeting your business objectives around pricing, but also the performance that your customers require. And I know a lot of the early conversations we had was that. And I think, we differentiate around that, around, our data platform, Exadata, and what we can do, but also our world-class network and being as close to the customers as possible, through our global footprint. And, I think that helps from a performance latency standpoint, but it also will ultimately help us meet data sovereignty challenges, around the world, not just you guys, but also a lot of other, customers, such as our presence in Saudi Arabia, India, and others.
Right. Absolutely. A lot of the items you talked about, the technology, the global reach, are certainly areas we're already seeing benefiting BMC and BMC's customers. So what are the key areas that customer need to explore as they start the cloud journey, from maybe exploration of different services options to the actual implementation? What have you seen based on what Oracle customers are doing?
Yeah. I get a chance in my role. I'm in engineering, but I'm in customer-facing engineering. So my job is always to work with customers and partners, SaaS providers, cloud native companies, everything, enterprises across the board. So I got a pretty good view of what customers are doing. I think overall, firstly, one needs to look at the overall solution architecture. You have to look at and you have to decide, what is your North Star? Because a lot of people think of initially as a lift and shift. And I think that's great. And Oracle Cloud's actually in a great position to do that. We've architected OCI originally around bare metal at the core. We've done some things around the networking and so forth that allows people to be more successful in a lift and shift. But I think you need to look at that North Star and take advantages of scale, flexibility. That ultimately becomes critical. And then you got to think about the path. So think of things like, how am I going to migrate my data? How do I set up the right networking and so forth in place? How do I protect my estate? How do I operate and manage? A big one is cost governance. Margaret, I'll give you an example. Recently, I'm working with a large potential partner customer. And we're going through, and one of the very first things they're looking at is moving a massive data lake into the cloud. And one of the things they didn't account for is they look at the data amount, amount of storage they need, and what features and so forth, but they never took into account the variability of data access. What you need to do that. And looking at it, it could have been, in this customer partner's case, it could have been hundreds of millions of dollars mistake. In other words, it's like, how often am I going to read my data? These things around price governance, as you think about cloud, it matters. Same thing goes with network traffic and how network moves around, things that people are used to doing on premise. And for example, in OCI, we don't charge for data moving from different like availability zones, what we call availability domains within a region, or even if you move outside that region, extremely simple pricing, and egress, for example. I mean, these things matter, but I think ultimately, it comes down to reviewing, understanding the risk, mitigating them, building mitigation plans, and understanding the rewards so that you know where to make the bets on the move to the cloud.
Yeah, certainly what you say about the data aspect, we've already seen. Most of the clients that we have on BMC, being large enterprises, not surprisingly, whether it's service management data or operationally managed data, whether it's tickets and workflow type of data or logs and metrics, they're large volumes. And that's definitely one of the reasons we reached out to Oracle in terms of data movement, data access, data management in general. It's a proven, obviously, strength of Oracle that we're benefiting from now. So as you're looking at the clients you're working with, what kind of challenges do organizations have as they develop their overall customer experience in the cloud?
Yeah, I think first it comes down to balancing technical needs and capabilities with what your customers expect, but also what is being mandated across an organization, especially if we're talking about customer experience solutions, for example, that I think, you guys play a role in that. Which is why I kind of, I think you're probably better to answer the question if we're talking about customer experience scenarios and solutions, given the great work that you guys do in this space. So how about I pivot it back?
Yeah. Well, certainly. Whether it's customers who are doing their own workloads, you mentioned lift and shift earlier from on-premises to any public cloud, for example, or a company like BMC, who is really providing software as a service, right? Whether it's a IT service desk or self-service workplace or sort of operations monitoring capability for the NOC center. The way to think about it is as you move your workloads or you move your application to the cloud, you are more responsible for the breadth and depth, right? Breadth as in terms of onboarding experiences, the end user, they want to make sure the application is performant, they click something and things happens immediately. And also depth, right? The infrastructure layer essentially becomes a core part of your offering. The performance and availability, all of that infrastructure is becoming a key part of how good your as a service software becomes. So that's why we look very carefully looking at our partners to make sure that the end user experience we provide to them from a performance perspective, from innovation perspective is great. And also the end-to-end full stack, not just in the application layer that BMC provides, but the infrastructure layer partners we select provides the full best experience for the end users. Yeah, definitely this is a key consideration. And I'll encourage anybody who are just thinking just lift and shift to think about that end-to-end and top to bottom.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So many customers have gone through this process now, whether it's a rebuilding or lift and shift. So how does a robust technical ecosystem lead customer to be more successful? I know you spoke about some of that a little bit earlier already. Yeah. What is that partnership that and a strategy you would recommend?
Yeah, I mean, partners are key. You think about it from both of our sides, in partnership. I think it comes down to any partnership is understanding and working with somebody that understands your challenges, has the empathy, knowledge, and insight, but also brings something additional to the table. And I think that's like the framework for any kind of successful partnership. If you think about Oracle as it relates to you or your customers or any of our mutual customers, we're one of the largest SaaS providers in the world ourselves. I think that matters, and it really does differentiate when it comes to some of like the peers of ours in the industry. We understand what it takes to run enterprise class solutions, and that means everything at scale to the support that customers as well as partners expect. I mean, it's ultimately a critical differentiator. Technology is great, and you need to have solid technology, but I think the reality is a lot of people will say they have great technology. I think it comes down to having, the people, the common goals, the customer focus. Technology ultimately only gets you so far. And I think that's a big reason why we ultimately work together. And if you think about the ecosystem that Oracle has in the enterprise, including folks like yourselves and great partners, I mean, we touch pretty much through our partners or ourselves every part of the enterprise IT, and it gives us a unique advantage and what is possible, what is not. And so we provide the platform, and you build the specific key solutions to address customer challenges. I think that's a major win-win, and that to me is the same thing with anybody we partner with, and that's led us to the work that we do together and what we see in value in a partnership with BMC.
Right. Certainly, from BMC Helix perspective, particularly the service management part of our portfolio, they're end user facing, they're essentially business applications, So hearing Oracle colleagues or friends' stories about implementing Oracle business applications, Fusion applications, and making sure the customer is satisfied does for us feel like you understand our challenges to make a business application robust, facing end users and highly available. So that definitely something about a partnership in this context, understanding large complex enterprises. That's been very helpful to have a partner.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, none of us are perfect at what we do, but when we have a common goal, a common understanding, it's amazing the types of things that we can do for our mutual customers, and I think that's a major advantage for us working together.
So based on some recent industry coverage, right? I know Oracle just had a great Oracle World last week. And folks, I've seen writers such as Bob Evans put OCI as the #1 hottest, fastest growing cloud vendor on the market. So what is fueling Oracle's success so far, and what makes it, #1 hottest cloud in the market today?
Yeah, thanks, Margaret, for the plug. So I know, like, I believe Bob Evans he's going to be joining you at some point. But yeah, there's some a lot of news, and you see it through our earnings and so forth. It's an exciting place to be, quite frankly. I mean, we're a lot of things, and I think there's a lot of reasons. And so if I go too long, cut me off, because this is the area I get excited about, and I see a lot of it. I'll start with price to performance. When you have a differentiated and better, cloud in certain aspects, and there's certain things that we're still catching up on, like the number of services, but like we're really focused on doing really, really well with the services that matter the most for our customers. And, that makes it easy when you also have the economics on your side. And that's an exciting thing, because I love to be able to show value. We differentiated when we built out what we call Gen 2 Cloud, ultimately providing unrestricted, non-blocking compute networking for customers to take advantage of latest innovations like GPUs and bringing Exadata into the cloud. But the way we built it has also allowed us to look at the commercial side differently as well, like allowing customers, partners like yourselves to benefit from the economic choices that we've made as we built it out. But it's not just about price to performance, it's price predictability. And I provided that example earlier. Why should you be stuck holding your data in one place? Having the flexibility of moving data is extremely important to enterprises or flat out any company, and being able to access that data and not have to penalize. That one example I gave you is if in that data lake, for example, if somebody end up reading their data as time goes, data becomes more useful. You want to do more things with that data, just like the data that you provide to your customers. You need to be able to act off that. be able to do it. If you decide that over time that data is 10 times more, you're going to read it and access it 10 times more than you were now, which is very realistic. Like the example I had was like, I mean, it was a 1 to 1,000, difference, like in the cost, because we just don't see why are we going to monetize how often that you're going to read or being able to move data from your enterprise to the cloud. Like that's just what we need to do. Then leave it to us to provide the right level of a reason to keep you in the cloud, because I don't want to hold you hostage. And that I think is big. And I see bills from other cloud providers and customers all the time, and it's really challenging for them to understand the variability. On the performance side, just pure performance. Performance matters, like regardless of price. And it's not just always about price to performance. I'm going to do a little plug for the work that we're doing with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, this is recently a really large partnership there. They do accelerated compute, AI, ML, really high performance type workloads, HPC type workloads and so forth. Tight partnership there. One, there's business reasons, but there's also technology reasons because of our world-class network and so forth. And folks, can take advantage of that. Oracle on Oracle workloads, great place to run Oracle databases, enterprise applications, ERP, and so forth. And then we have great industry strengths. I mean, occasionally that will run us into where, somebody is competing, but the reality is the knowledge that we have, like we just acquired Cerner, the work that we're doing, it's not just about transforming healthcare. It's also about providing a North Star for what we should be doing around AI and ML. Like cloud providers build these services, but if you have a real use case that you can provide and affect people's lives, that matter. And so when people try us, Margaret, our biggest challenge is perception and market awareness. It's not the technology, it's not the economics. It comes down to perception. So one of the things I think Larry or Safra mentioned in our earnings call is like, once people try it, they use a lot more. And so our biggest things is getting it there. So it's an exciting place to be and a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, based on recent coverage, it looks like people are finding out. People are giving it a try. And obviously, BMC, we like to think we were ahead of that, recognizing a lot of the technical strengths, obviously last year when we started this discussion.
That's right. Yeah, and I know one of the first things that came to our conversations was about the performance aspect, and then obviously other advantages came out and all the other things that we talked about partnership, but it really came down to that. So Margaret, a question for you, talking about these benefits and some of those differentiators, what's the experience for Helix, for your customers on our cloud, and maybe how that might be different than the past?
Yeah, first, I think Oracle has provided great partnership, right? This work building the Helix application on the Oracle Cloud infrastructure was new to us. So Oracle definitely did a great job helping us stand up Helix in the Oracle data center, if you will, right? That integrating with all the services, APIs you mentioned has been very valuable. We really appreciate the partnership. We actually now have it in production now. We have OCI, Helix on OCI in the US. We're about with customers and about onboard customers in England, in London, as well as we build out more geographic locations. First, the performance has been great in terms of the workloads that we have onboarded OCI, and we've had no issues as far as reliability, etc. I did see the announcements with NVIDIA. I know that as we trying to put AI-oriented workloads, AI-oriented capabilities and features in Helix, we're looking forward to capitalizing on some of the infrastructure layer innovations that NVIDIA and Oracle will be bringing out. And of course, in terms of rapid innovation, now that we have our Helix on Oracle, right, and using the Exadata as a service now allows us to really rapidly roll out more capabilities, more features related to Helix. So we're quite excited about that. Some seems to us, at least the first 6 months, have gone quite well, this partnership.
Great. No, I don't, and I see it from our side. I mean, obviously, we work tightly together. We have core engineers, engaged on a daily basis, and I'm definitely seeing the progress. I think you probably addressed the question I was gonna ask next a little bit in that, but I think we talk about global scale, and we've obviously discussed had these checkpoints and different conversations. Sounds like we made progress in various regions. But is there any specifics of where are we live now? What's next, and then ultimately, what does that global presence mean to you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're live in US with the OCI Ashburn. We are just going live right now with Oracle in London, and then we're pursuing actively building out with Oracle in India, in Germany, and adding additional location in the Middle East. We're seeing a lot of demand, and the interesting piece is the industry is doing two things at the same time. One is rapidly growing SaaS, right? Some of these industries that even a couple of years ago, whether it's government or even defense, banking, telco, a lot of these industries who until just a couple of years ago say, oh, we'll never go SaaS, are changing their minds. So there is a huge move towards SaaS-based offerings and the cloud-based deployment. That's on one hand. On the other hand, with the geopolitical situation in the world, more and more countries or companies say we would prefer to have data center in our region, in our country, right? So a partnership with a company like Oracle give us both sort of benefits. We can do innovation fast, quickly. We can leverage the infrastructure, but also we can very quickly say yes to customers if they say we would prefer to have the data center, data access, data residency in our local region and country. And the other piece is we are seeing a lot of customers have a multi-cloud strategy, right? Once they are thinking about moving their workloads from their own on-premise data center to public cloud-oriented offerings, most customers want to have at least two, sometimes even more, just for a variety of reasons, right? And for BMC to be able to offer that to customers to say, okay, we can work on hybrid with you, we can, you can move at your own pace. It really gives a lot of reassurance and peace of mind. For example, to many BMC customers whose service and operations workloads still predominantly on premise. So we've been speaking to a lot of longtime BMC customers, and they're very happy to partner with BMC to take the transition. And then when we say we give you a lot of options, one of them is very robust Oracle infrastructure. They feel comfortable because that's a technology, whether it's because of database or whether it's they're using Oracle Fusion applications, it's just they feel comfortable and they feel confident. So this is all very exciting for us, and hopefully will help us grow our business.
No, that's great. I think too, the market out there, economies is a little in this kind of interesting place. I'll just put it that way. And but I also think it's such an opportunity for cloud in general when these types of changes. You mentioned it, we've gone from this should I do cloud or SaaS, or should I do that, to people really. It's no, we are. It's just how, when, with what workloads, and so forth. And then you mentioned the multi-cloud. I mean, we're 100% aligned from that standpoint. In Oracle, in Cloud World last week, we announced a lot of things around multi-cloud scenarios, both the work that we do from our own dedicated regions all the way to other cloud providers and the network connectivity and so forth around that. So going forward, I think we're about done. at least I think that you're looking at time, but are what else? What should we be excited about? I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity. You kind of already hit on some of those. And any other opportunities you think is important to consider?
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, BMC perspective, the stage of build out is coming to an end. We're in a stage of onboarding customers and goes into more and more customers into sort of production environment. So really looking forward to supporting these complex large customers, and we're looking to expanding geographically with Oracle. And like I mentioned earlier, the workloads that Helix represent, particularly in service management, is uniquely heavy transactional with lots of data. And operations management, it's self-evident. Data such as logs and metrics on a complex environment, knock center is enormous. So we're really looking forward to leverage that data management access, which you mentioned. That's quite a proven capability with Oracle and with OCI.
Awesome. Margaret, thanks for having me. I always love anytime it pops up and there's an opportunity to either have these chats together or just flat out meet and talk about next steps and the work that we're doing. It's always enjoyable. A great, fantastic team that work with. So we're happy to be part of the BMC story.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for your time.